Welcome, RJ, to the World XP podcast. It's a pleasure having you on, man. It's been some time, I think, since we've seen each other. Last I saw you were, oh geez, I don't know, at ODU, and then going to play football somewhere, and then you turned up, and I see you're on the set of WandaVision, and you're in Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. It's been quite the turnaround. There's been a couple of people recently that I've had similar sort of introductions from, like, oh, it's been a while and you turned up on the set of like this or that. How'd it happen?
Man, first and foremost, appreciate you for having me on the podcast. It's a blessing to be here, man, to even talk about my journey so far. But how everything happened, it all starts with football, my first love, man. I went to ODU, and backing up from that, I was about to originally go to Hampton for a second, and I talked to the football coach out there, and I was just like this close to going to Hampton. And then at the last minute, I was like, oh nah, I want to go to ODU. I had a couple friends there, and I was thinking I could walk on to the football team, see how it goes there. I go to the football office, and they say, they weren't having walk-ons, which is weird because usually most colleges have walk-on tryouts. But yeah, they weren't having it. So at that moment, I had to reassess some things. And my dad, he reached out to one of his friends who was in Texas, and my dad, he was about to get stationed out in Texas. And his friend was telling my dad, my fault, my dad's friend was telling him that he knew a coach on the University of Texas San Antonio. And he was saying pretty much that we can link up, and I could talk to them and see if I can go ahead and walk on or try out for the team. And I wound up meeting him. We had a good conversation. And let's see, what season was that? Was that 2000? It was the 2015 season, I believe. Yeah, it was 2015 season. I was able to walk onto the team. I was able to, and I wasn't ever able to play in the game. I didn't get the privilege to do that, but I was practicing with the team. I did all the activities and everything with the team. It was a crazy experience there. Walking through the tunnel, seeing the 20 or the thousands of fans that were there. It was about, I think the most we got crowd wise may have been like 28,000 or something like that. But
Whew.
we played at the Alamo Dome, which honestly, even though I say 28,000, like being in the Alamo Dome and knowing that about 70,000 can sit in there, it didn't seem like there was that many people there. But it
Mhm.
was it was like around 28,000 like per Saturday. Um, and that was just an amazing experience. So what happened there was Larry Coker, he got fired. And for people who know Larry Coker used to be the coach at the University of Miami. When Ed Reed was there, Sean
Mhm.
Taylor, Clayton Portis, was all of them. When all of them were there, and that Miami team was great, Larry Coker was their head coach. So when I found that out as well, I was just like, man, I'm about to play for Larry Coker. But he got fired because we had a terrible season. Like, I've never been on a bad football team in my whole life. My whole life, my teams have either been championship level or we've been in the hunt, like from since I was like 6 years old whenever I started playing football.
Mhm.
And then of course, what we did at Briarwoods. But yeah, so we were like 3-9 or something like that. 3-9, 3-9. And yeah, he got fired. The coach that brought me in, he goes to another school, and we bring in a whole new staff who's coming from LSU. And of course, I was excited. I was just like, oh, it's an LSU staff, everything. But also, there was a part of me that was just like, man, this coach that brought me in, he was telling me that I had an opportunity for a scholarship. And I was just like, man, am I even going to be able to get this scholarship anymore? A whole bunch of thoughts started running through my head. And, I started spring training with them, got off to a bad start because I was late to our early morning practice, but at the same time, wasn't really my fault. they didn't have my number or something of that sort, so they didn't tell me beforehand. And then I went through the training for about a month or so, and then after that month, I was just like, man, I don't have that passion to play anymore. So I told them I was gonna leave the team and everything. And at that point, I was just like, look, I need to find another university because this was the whole reason I came down here was to play football. I don't want to be here anymore if I don't play football. So at that point, man, I had to figure out what I was going to do next. And it took a lot of praying, a lot of time to just really think about what would the next move be. And then I get a text and call my friend Zach, and we talked for a little while. And he mentions, starting up some skits that we can do just for fun. And I was all about it. At the time, I was watching like King Batch, and I was watching Ha Ha Davis, just all those Viners and people of
Yeah,
that sort. Yeah, remember that time. So I was watching them on Instagram, and I was just like, I can do that too. I could. I know me and my friends. We get together. We're we're just pure comedy when we're together. So I was just like, yeah, we can
100%.
we can make some skits and just see how it goes. So that and also he was saying, man, just come up to George Mason, finish out at George Mason. So I was just like, all right, cool. I'm gonna come up to George Mason, finish my degree in communications, and see where these skits go. So I come back up, and I started doing the skits, and it goes great at first. I mean, we're doing them. We have all these ideas of what we're gonna do and everything, and again, for like the first 3 4 months of doing it, we're really consistent. We're doing it. We're having fun with it, and then like after that, um, a couple people who were involved, they weren't feeling as motivated to do it anymore. So it became me and Zach, and I was basically the only one like acting, and then Zach was like behind the camera. And after a little bit, it was just like, dang, we don't really have like that same support and motivation as we did before with it. So that's why it fell off. But then I was talking to Zach, and I was just like, man, I really want to do these skits and this, that, and the other. He was just like, bro, do you want to be known as a guy who is just like known for skits, or do you want to be an actual actor? And I was just like, I actually love acting. So I think I want to do that. And during that same time, I was also in my church, and my mom, she was the leader of the drama team at my church. So she was telling me I could be in a couple plays and I could do a few plays. I was like, yeah, of course, I thought it would be fun, and it was. And from there, that combined with talking to Zach about what the next move was and everything, that's when I made the decision. I was just like, I feel like that's my purpose. I feel like I'm gonna be an actor. I want to be an actor. I told my parents that. I was like, I think this is exactly what I want to pursue. And after doing a couple other plays at my church and getting more confident, I was like, yeah, no doubt, this is exactly what I want to do in my life. And they're very supportive. My mom, she wanted to be an actor. I'm an actress. She
Mhm.
started, and this was back in like when she was like 18, 19 years old. She was at a prestigious school in New York for acting and singing and things of that sort. And you know, she left the school, I believe, after a year or so to I think be with family or something of that sort because she got homesick. But yeah, she was the main actress in our family, and she was the inspiration first and foremost. And she's the whole reason I know anything about acting in the first place. So I mean, big shout out to my mom. But yeah, man, from there, that's how it all started. After I graduated, 6 months later, I moved down to Atlanta. And, for the first month or so when I was in Atlanta, it was kind of tough. I was trying to figure out how exactly I was going to, attack this career I'm pursuing. And I signed up with a casting company, and they were telling me for about a few weeks that there was not going to be any jobs because I guess they were taking like a hiatus, a film hiatus. And I was like, all right, that's cool. That's cool. So I was just there. I was at my grandma's house. My grandma, she was a blessing, man, because that was a place I could stay. Didn't really have to pay too much. And I was able to do what I wanted to do down there. So for that first month, it was tough. But after that first month, I got a role as a background actor to do a movie, and it was only for like 2 days, but it was. Don't ask me what the movie is called because honestly, I don't know. But what I do know is that Mel Gibson was in it, and when I get to set and everything, I'm just excited to be on set. And it was just my first day on set, and I was just willing to do whatever they, asked me to do. And all of a sudden, I see this guy come up to me. I guess I was in the movie. I guess I was what was I? See, it was a minute ago, man. I don't even know what role I was playing. It was kind of random. Like I said, I don't know what the movie's called or anything of that sort. I think I was craft service or something like that in the movie, and I was holding up a plate of I think I had a plate of like donuts or brownies or something like that. And I see this like older guy come over to me. He was like, "That looks like a good plate of brownies or something of that sort." And I was just, joking around with him. Then he goes onto the set. I'm just like, that guy looks really familiar. And like I was like, I've seen this guy before, but I don't know where. And then later on, it dawned upon me. I was like, wow, I was talking to Mel Gibson, like just out of nowhere. And yeah, so it went from there. And while I was on that set, that's how I got to know about other acting opportunities, other background opportunities. And it was this lady named Miss Chandra and these two guys named Norris and Martell. And they were just explaining to me all the different casting companies that I can sign up with and all the different jobs I could do. And from there, I started getting a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunities, started getting consistent work. Um, sometimes I would have like a week off, but then sometimes it'd be like a whole week of work, or it'd be like 5 days straight or 4 days and then a day off. But it was good, consistent work for probably from July until January or
Mm.
so, something like that. No, my fault. July to February until I left Georgia. But yeah, man, it was just a blessing. It was just a blessing, and that experience has just motivated me even more to want to go even further in this career, and I can't wait.
Yeah, sounds like a crazy journey, man. I want to
Yeah,
get back to the football and your decision to stop playing. Because I think having been in an environment soccer wise, where you're at that level where the work that you have to put in to be that like good enough to like maintain that level and the toll on your body, like I think for football it's even worse, obviously.
all right, right.
Um, what was that like going, like when you lost, like you're in the spring training and whatever, and you feel yourself losing that sort of, yes, I want to be out on the field every day. How hard was that to continue to push yourself into, all right, I got to get this next rep in, I got to get this work in, because if I don't, somebody's going to kill me on the field the next day, or like the coaches are going to see that like I
Right,
hadn't prepared and this and that. Like, how difficult was that for you?
man, it was really difficult. Um, just going to do the lifting portion. When I was lifting, because what we would do is we would lift and then we would have a field portion afterwards where we would either do some type of conditioning or some type of drills or anything of that sort. So while I was lifting, that's when I was just like, man, do I even want to do this anymore? I felt like I was behind everybody, and I was just like, man, what am I doing? Am I really good enough? All those thoughts go through your head. It
Hmm.
didn't help. It also didn't help that the movie Concussion came out at that time, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, remember that with Will Smith? And I watched that movie, and I was just like, man, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to possibly? And let me go back on that because I'm blessed that I've never, at least as far as I know, I've never had a concussion while playing
Hmm.
football. So that was a blessing. But and I've never really had a major injury other than the injury I had my junior year. I don't know if you remember that I had like a hamstring injury prevented me from even playing that year. But yeah, um, watching that movie and already having those thoughts of, "Dang, am I really on par with everybody else here? Can I really do this? Do I even have the drive to do this anymore?" Like, man, that it was it was crazy, man. It was
Hmm.
crazy that I even had those thoughts going through my head. I never thought that would happen to me with a game I love so much. But yeah, man. And I'll say this, that it's definitely my biggest regret in my life, and I'm gonna keep it at that too. That it's gonna be my biggest regret in my life that I didn't continue on with it. Because I really believe that if I continued on with it, who knows, the sky could have been the limit. The sky was the limit. And it wasn't that the coaches didn't like me or anything of that sort. They thought I was working hard on the field. I remember like one of the last practices I was there, they uh they were just pretty much complimenting me on what I was doing during the drills, and that was encouraging and everything. But yeah, I just didn't have it anymore just to really go out there and ball like I wanted to. And
Hmm.
and again, it's one of those feelings that it sucked. It sucks to this day that I did leave, but because it was a great opportunity. It was an opportunity of a lifetime. I was playing Division 1A football, and I don't know if you remember in high school, I didn't even start my senior year, bro. And
Hmm.
and it's crazy because I really believe, of course, I could have, and I could have played a lot, but I didn't play as much as I wanted to. So the fact that I was able to play Division 1 football, even though I was just pretty much on the practice squad, but going up against everybody every day, I felt like, yeah, I could hang with everybody here. I
Hmm.
could. At first, I didn't start out that great, but as the season went on, all my abilities started to show and everything. Coaches were starting to be impressed with me, and I was able to really do my thing. But yeah, it was it sucked, man. It definitely sucked having to leave that great opportunity, and it's definitely my biggest regret to this day. But
Yeah, everything happens for a reason,
yeah, right,
maybe
right,
you wouldn't have been on those sets if you had played another season or whatever. But one
exactly,
one other interesting tidbit, when you were mentioning the Alamo Dome and like the 28,000 people in there, that's the
yeah,
reason why they make soccer stadiums smaller. So when there's only 15 or 20,000 people in there, but it's full, it feels like the place is rocking. And they do that
right, right.
they do that on purpose. Like you can go to even like the DC United Stadium. I don't know what the capacity is, but it's not that big. But when it sells out, it feels like it's rocking because they used to play in RFK,
Right,
which
right.
is like 70,000, I think, or 80,000. It's a big stadium, and they would only open like a third of it, and it was like,
Mm,
oh, this place is empty. So they made the new
right.
stadium. They made it way smaller, and it sells out. So
Which that
there's
makes
a
sense.
yeah, there's a cool little like the atmosphere is way better. Um, Also another thing, like when you're in your sport, whatever that is, or and your brain is not in it, like your head's not in it. When you go for like to make a block or a tackle and you like don't you like half-ass it, you can get injured more easily as well.
Exactly.
So that's another thing definitely to consider. I've seen it happen like soccer, and then obviously you've described your sort of sentiments toward football. But
Right.
when you made the decision, the final decision, like, hey, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore, how did that walk me through that sort of like that discussion with the coaches, your feelings afterwards, like how did that sort of work for you?
Um, well, they were totally understanding of my decision. Um, really, I probably should have talked a little bit more to my father at that time, and he was overseas. Um, I believe he was in at that time. He was either in Kuwait or he was in Iraq. I forget where he was stationed at that time, but he was overseas, and yeah, I definitely should have talked to him a lot more. He would have definitely motivated me. He was my favorite coach growing up. He was my best coach growing up. And of course, since I was his son, he knew my abilities and everything. So I probably definitely should have had a longer conversation with him about it. But at that time, I just felt as though that I was making the right decision for me because I just wasn't into it. And I had to do what was best for me. Um, but yeah, that's basically it. I just talked to the coaches or the coach, and I told him that I just wasn't into it no more. And again, they were understanding. I was able to leave and just go on from there.
Mm-hmm. I know you said it's your biggest regret, but when you think about your life up until this, like up to this point, when you say regret, do you mean sort of like you you wish you had pursued it, but also like you were saying earlier, you're blessed for the opportunities you have, so it's kind of like a
Yeah,
bittersweet sort of
it's
feeling?
that it's definitely a bittersweet feeling, man. Yeah, I wish I pursued it more. Uh, I really wish I got to suit up on Saturday, because even walking through the tunnel with the polo and jeans on, seeing the whole crowd and everything going through the smoke and everything, seeing the TV cameras go by, it was a special feeling. One kid even asked me going through the tunnel one time. He was just like, "Hey, are you injured or something?" And just a short answer because I didn't want to get in a whole long conversation how I was a walk on. I was just like, "Yeah, I'm injured." But yeah, I was just going through that game day feeling. It was special, man. And playing in a dome at that, it
Mm-hmm.
was crazy. It was crazy. So yeah, it's definitely a bittersweet thing, and just something that I wish I just pursued more and just at least got to play on the field. Because we played some great teams, man. I know while I was there, we played Kansas State. That was one of the games we played, and that's when Tyler Lockett was there.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to see Tyler Lockett from the sideline, he was a monster. He was a beast, and that's why he's getting paid 4 years, 69 million now. So yeah, he was a beast. He was a beast. But just being able to be on the sideline and everything, getting that game day feeling, it was special. Going through those practices, it was definitely special. On the team that I was on, we had a couple players go to the NFL. We had David Morgan. He played tight end. I know he played for the Vikings, or he was on the practice squad or something of that sort. The biggest name that was there at that time was Marcus Davenport, and he plays for the Saints now, defensive
Mm-hmm.
end. But yeah, just that's basically what I mean by biggest regret is that I just wish I pursued it a little bit more. But going forward, I plan on having no regrets at all. I plan on just doing things to the to the best of my ability, and just not letting the opportunity slip by me like that. But yeah, that's basically what
Yeah. No, I feel you. I think the reason I ask is because you hear so many people say like, "Oh, I have no regrets. I don't regret like anything. Like, live life with no regrets." Like, the memes of like no regrets or whatever.
I'm. Right,
All sorts. So like you hear people talk about like that all the time. So it's interesting to hear, as not super often, at least in my experience, that I've had somebody come on and be like, "Yes, I regret this a lot." you
yeah,
know.
definitely, definitely, definitely,
So
definitely.
like you said, moving forward, you don't want to live with any regrets. But what's your take on that sort of philosophy? Like, you regret this one thing, and now you don't want to regret move. Like, is there a mindset change in there for you, or like how, like, what sort of shift do you have in like mindset wise that you're like, okay, this happened, and now I'm not going to do something like that anymore, or not going to feel that way
Right.
about something anymore? How does that sort of, how did you go about having that conversation with yourself?
So basically, I just reassessed everything. I was looking back. I was just like, man, this was an opportunity that a lot of people wish they could have had playing Division 1 FBS football. So just looking back at that, I was just like, man, did I really like just let that opportunity just slip away from me? Did I really go at it as hard as I could have? Looking back at it, I don't think I went at it as hard as I could have. Again, it was just a blessing to be able to be on the team, go through as a walk on and everything. Yeah, just assessing that situation, I was just like, man, I let that really slip from me. Um, and because I really could have done something, you know. I don't know if I would have been an NFL player or anything of that sort, but I do know I could have been a good college player. Definitely could have been a good college player. But now it's just in the land of would have, could have, should have. And, you know, just talking to my dad, talking to my family, having conversations with myself, like, man, I don't want to ever have that would have, could have, should have thing happen to me again. Especially with the opportunity as big as that. Um, so with with acting now, I'm just like, okay, every opportunity I get, I just want to do it to the best of my ability. I just want to have fun with it, and I just know that whatever opportunity I get, it's just a blessing from God, just being able to do it. So yeah, that's what I really mean by no regrets. Now I just want to live, just live in the moment, and never complain about anything. I just want to go ahead and just enjoy each step of the way and each step of the journey.
Yeah, 100%. Think being sort of grateful for what you have. I think we've seen, like we were talking about that earlier, off camera, about the pandemic and kind of what that's done to people. There's plenty of people that don't have, or have lost everything through this pandemic. And so, like you said, to kind of take each moment in is like, and be grateful for it. It's a good mindset to have moving forward. It keeps you grounded and humbled. And I think especially, well, for any profession really, but especially when you walk into sort of the world of acting or celebrities, almost, you get, um I don't know if you've seen this or not on some of the sets, but from what I've read or heard, you get a lot of like yes people. Like, oh, can I do
Yeah,
this? Yes. Oh, can I do that? Yes. And so to live with that mindset of, yes, I'm here, this opportunity is a blessing, kind of, you would hope anyways, keep you kind of grounded a little bit
right,
in that.
right.
Um I want to jump to the acting a little bit.
Okay.
Um and so you've been on, I think, what, two, we'll call it two major, or we'll say mainstream productions in the last, we'll say, what, 6 months, year or so.
I would say it's probably about four major ones. Four,
Four?
probably maybe even more than that. I would have to look back at my list. I was actually on a pretty good set too. Again, lesson. Yeah, the four that come off like the top of my head, of course, WandaVision, of course, Coming to America, um, MacGyver,
Hmm.
uh, which of course is on CBS, and Falcon and Winter Soldier being on
Oh
that set.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. I remember when your like the scenes that you were in came out, like your Instagram story was like everybody had tagged you in like that one scene that you were in. It's like, oh
yeah.
look, he's on CBS. There he is. I think was that the first real big one, I think, for you?
Big one. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I remember
yeah,
when that happened when because I don't think it wasn't you didn't really let people know until you kind of like were on TV and then everybody was like, oh my God, there he is.
yeah.
But I want to start with the Marvel ones, just because
Okay,
I love Marvel and I think lots of people love Marvel.
right.
Um, when when you're on the sets of WandaVision or Falcon and Winter Soldier, how describe the sort of feeling of being on a Marvel set and sort of like what sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Atmosphere, maybe. What's the sort of general atmosphere versus some of the other sets that you've been on?
Man, it's incredible. First and foremost, Marvel very secure with everything they do. Like very secure. Like, from the moment, well, I'll say this. Even getting the notice for the job, we don't even know what job it is until we get on the set. They'll have like a certain code name for it. Some of the jobs they would just tell you, just plain and simple, exactly what it was, or they'll have a code name that pretty much went with exactly whatever production it was. But Marvel, they had some crazy code names, and you didn't know what set you were going on until you got there. You get there, they lock your phones up, they make you sign NDAs and things of that sort, and then they tell you, yeah, you're on Falcon and Winter Soldier, you're here on the WandaVision, something of that sort. But yeah, just being on those sets is it's a different level of professionalism. Um, and they, of course, they do things at the highest level, like everything at the highest level. They take a lot of takes. Um, they'll make sure they got their scene 100% perfect, even if it seems like you're doing the scene over and over and over again throughout the whole day. And literally, that's what we did throughout a whole day. We would do a scene over and over and over again. And a scene might be like 2 seconds, but we would do that scene over and over and over again until they get exactly the shots that they need, and they'll turn the camera around, and they'll make sure they have all the angles they need. But yeah, it's just a high class, a high level of professionalism. And honestly, I can't wait to work with them again in the future. Like
Mhm.
I really hope that I can actually have an actual role on one of their movies or shows or whatever they're gonna come out with in the near future. But yeah, just a different level of professional.
Fingers crossed something like that works out for you. It'd be great to see you on a Marvel movie or show in a more of a starring role. But
Right.
you see, like when you watch the movie, you see all the costumes and the special effects and everything that goes into it. How much is it actually like the costume department, and how much of it is sort of and obviously don't say what you can't say. I know like you have NDAs and the rest, but how does that work? The amount of like costumes and makeup that goes into it, and then like the special effects that you see. How does that work? Does it seem weird on set when you're like, why is that person in like that crazy costume? Like
Okay.
not within the setting. Does it seem weird or like how does all that work?
Um. So basically how the set is set up. They'll have like green screen that have little X's and all kinds of things of that sort. You're just looking around. You're like, I really wonder how all this is gonna look once all the editing and final production is done. It's just really interesting. It looks like a lot simpler than what you see with the final product.
Hmm.
Um, with regards to people and their costumes and everything, I know Vision was on the set. I didn't get to see him, but I know he was on the set when I was there, so I didn't get to see him in his full suit and everything. But people were telling me that he was in full costume and everything, so it looked just like how he looks on the screen. But yeah, just walking around, seeing people, seeing because even on the Falcon and Winter Soldier set, I didn't really see Anthony Mackie in his Falcon costume or the guy who plays Bucky in his Winter Soldier costume or anything of that sort. They were just mainly wearing like regular clothes, going around scene with regular clothes, or it was regular clothes when they're in the town, and when they were in the club scene, of course, they have like club like clothes
Hmm.
on. But yeah, yeah, basically just walking around, seeing them, and just their get up and everything, just with their costumes and everything. It was pretty. It was just a cool experience, man. That's the only thing I can really say about it. It's just a really cool experience. It's cool to see how everything comes to life. The movie magic, as they call it,
Hmm.
when they're done with post production and everything. Because again, when you're on set, you see everything. You're just like, wow, they're really gonna take this and make this into like something like incredible, something. And it's like shout out to all the directors, writers, producers, people in the editing room, because like you see how everything is on set, and you see their creative minds with post production and just how they edit everything. It's just like wow, like you really made this happen out of this set. Like
Yeah.
like you see like when you're on set like a field or something of that sort, and then you see it when you actually watch the show, and you're just like, wow, they really made this field like expand a lot. They really make this area look totally different than how it looked on set. Um, while I was on one of the film locations, um, we see this land, and as we were driving by it, they were telling us, they were like, yeah, over there, that's Wakanda over there. I was just like, really? I was just like, that right there, that's Wakanda. It was just like a whole just like regular old grass field, but when you really look at it, you're just like, oh wow, that really is Wakanda. Like you really look at it, and you see the battles that they had on the field, and
Hmm.
things of that sort. So you're just like, wow, it's just incredible what they're able to do with, um, the film locations and sets and how everything is set up. Just the movie magic there, great.
Now you hear so much about movie magic when you watch interviews or something like that. Can you walk us through sort of because I'd imagine that I don't recall your exact roles in the Marvel shows, but were you in costume at all, or
I
you were
was,
in street clothes? So can you walk us through kind of like you get to the sets and you need to get your costume on? I don't know if you had like makeup or anything, but can you walk us through that sort of like your personal getting ready and set up for the scene, whether it's on set or did you shoot like on location at all? Were you on
oh
set the whole
yeah,
time?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
can you walk us through sort of your own process, I guess, like that you had to go through to get ready for work, I guess, and then
right.
how it differed for set versus on location?
Yeah. So basically, what we would do, we would come into the studio, or if we were on location somewhere, we would meet up at a specific spot. Like they would have tents set up for people who were background artists or anything of that sort. and we would come in, we would check with a PA, production assistant or producer assistant, and we check in with them. We would go to the wardrobe people. And wardrobe people usually they would have us in a couple of days earlier to do a fitting, and during the fitting they'll have us go into whatever costume we need to go into, make sure that we had the right fitting clothes and uh, just the right. If it was a suit, make sure the suit fit well. Um, we would go through many different looks, and the casting director would go ahead and pick the look for us in a sense. And yeah, that's basically how that went with the fitting. But for WandaVision, for instance, I was a agent. I was a SWORD agent, and so they would have us all in different like outfits. For WandaVision, I had a jacket and a polo and some dress pants and some boots or some. I think it was, yeah, boots on. And basically, yeah, we were just walking around pretty much like that the whole time. But yeah, going on set, we would meet up with wardrobe. We would get dressed. Wardrobe would look at us, make sure that we looked right. Then we would go to hair and makeup. The hair department would just make sure we were touched up. Um, they would either fix our hair, or sometimes we would have barbers on set. They would like if we needed a fade, they would fix our fades, or anything of that sort. Um, or like for instance, for what's that? American Soul. It was American Soul set. Um, American Soul, of course, is taking place in the late '60s, early '70s. So what they did with me, because I had fade in my hair, fade on the sides, they put a stocking cap on, and then they glued an afro to my head, and I had like a whole afro look and everything of that sort. Which was pretty good. Yeah, it was crazy, bro. It was absolutely crazy. That I had the bell bottoms on. I had like a whole 1970s look. It was crazy. But yeah, we would go to the hair and makeup. Makeup for us pretty much was they just looked over us, make sure that we didn't have like crazy blemishes or anything like that. But that's about it. We didn't have to go through makeup like the women did. Women
Yeah.
had to make sure they had the process
Yeah. Yeah.
of women, So but yeah, that was basically it. We just did that, and when we were on location, we make sure we meet up in an area, and we would all walk together to a certain location. We would go to extra holding, and in extra holding, we would, sometimes wait up to a few hours, or maybe they would want us on set right away. Just all depends on, what they're shooting, what they need us for. But yeah, that's basically that whole process, and how everything went throughout the day. Um, and then at the end of the day, of course, we would give our costumes back to wardrobe, um, just basically go home for the day.
Yeah. So, all right. So you get through wardrobe and hair and makeup and all that. So then you get on to wherever you guys are shooting. And you mentioned, I think, how Marvel would want to make sure that they got the exact right like shots that they needed, and if they needed to, they would do the same thing like gazillion times. So for you, when you didn't have any lines, right? I don't think
I did
so. So for you, when you don't have any lines and you're kind of just standing there,
it right.
at what point does that get boring, or does it get boring?
For me, it doesn't get boring because
Mm,
I'm just excited to be there.
yeah,
This is something that I want to do, so I'm just really paying attention to the actors that actually have their whole process, what they're doing. Noticing that none of them are perfect, honestly. To see um, a person like Morgan Freeman stumble on lines, or to see like the guy who I was behind in WandaVision, that whole scene, um, to see him mess up, he messed up a good amount of times. Um, and them just working with him throughout the whole process, that eased my nerves because I was just, man, what if I mess up whenever I get lines? And how's that
Mhm.
gonna look? Of course, I'm gonna be totally prepared when I do get my lines, but that just eased my worries of, hey, what if I mess up whenever I do get a line set? Because it just showed me that they're human, and they make mistakes even though they're professionals, and you know they're willing to work with them through the whole
Mhm.
process. But yeah, now I never gets boring. You just get anxious being the extras holding because you want to be on set, and then when you're on set, you get anxious to actually start the scene that you're in. When I was on MacGyver's set, um, it and each extra is there pretty much with a different purpose. Some people are there just to get a little exposure. Some people are there just for the money that you make throughout the day, which it's not much,
Mhm.
but or some people are just there just to chill and have fun. Just everybody has a different motivation of being there. So I remember that one girl who I was talking to. She was, I think she was a lawyer throughout the day usually, but was on set because she thought it'd be fun. She was just telling me how bored she was. She was asking if I was bored. I was like, nah, this is literally. She was just like, man, I am bored. And I was just like, I feel it. I understand. She was like, "You're not bored?" I was just like, ah, "This is what I want to do
Yeah.
as a career." So I'm just excited to be here, um, to do the role that I'm doing. And again, that specific role, I was just sitting for most of the day. Like it was a good, it was probably a good 10 hours or so of just sitting, chilling, just waiting my turn. But once we got on, once we got into the scene. Um, it was pretty special. It was definitely special, and being invited back on for the next 3 days after that was just cool. Uh, Me and the other bodyguard in that role, um, we were able to do a lot of things on that set. So patience is a virtue, and you have to be
Mhm.
really patient on those sets for sure. You gotta wait your turn as a background. Um, but yeah, I I never really got
Were
bored to
you
the point where I was just like, I don't want to do this.
were you apprehensive before, like before your first day, as far as, was it nerves of the role itself, or meeting the stars that were on there, or just being in a new situation, or, well, or all
Yeah,
of the above?
all of the above for sure. Um, Going to set for the first day, I was just like, man, I'm actually on a movie set. Going through the gates and everything, saying who you are, what you're there for, and everything. Parking your car, uh, you know, going to the wardrobe and everything, getting your clothes on, then going to get something to eat because that's what also another great part of being on a film set. You'll never really go hungry on a film set. I was telling people before, like you really have to be very disciplined on a film set because if you're not disciplined, you can easily gain some weight being on a film set. Like they have a lot of options to eat. Like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not that good, but yeah, you can definitely gain some weight if you're not disciplined. But yeah, just being on that set that day, I was definitely nervous. Being an extra holding with all the other extras, I was sitting in there on my first day. It almost felt like the first day of school in a sense.
Mhm.
I was getting to know each other kind of deal. I was just chilling, waiting my turn. It was a hot day that day too. We're in, Atlanta on a 90-something degree day in this tent, and we're all trying not to sweat. But we're sweating. You know, the AC goes out a couple times, and we're like, "Dang, man, this is crazy, man. Like, we're gonna all be drenched in sweat going on set and everything. Like, this is crazy." Um, you have some interesting people on the film set, some interesting characters for sure. But yeah, um, once I finally found that group of people I was telling mentioned earlier, Miss Chandra, Norris, and Martell. Once I was able to talk to them, and they were telling me a little bit more about how I can get involved in other sets and get other jobs and things of that sort, so I can
Mhm.
stay busy. Once I started talking to them, my nerves definitely eased. And once I actually got onto the set, I was just chilling. Just honestly, I wasn't trying. I was just wasn't trying to mess up. I was trying to make sure I did everything that the PAs were telling me, because they're the ones that tell you to move a certain way, go to a certain area. I was just trying to make sure I followed every direction to the T. And yeah, once I did it a few times, my nerves definitely eased up. It just became fun after
Good. That's awesome. That's great to hear. It sounds like a crazy experience. You mentioned the food.
that.
Have you ever had a role where, like, for the bodyguard role, where they're like, "Hey, we need you to look buff," or anything like that?
So basically, when they pick you, and the funny thing about the bodyguard role was I wasn't even there to be a bodyguard. At first, I was just there to be a casino guest.
Mhm.
And when I got to the set, they looked at me and they were like, "Hey, are you interested in being a bodyguard? You're gonna have to be on set a few more days." Which in my mind, I was like, "Heck yeah, I'll definitely be on set a few more days. What do you mean? Like,
Yeah,
but they were like, yeah, you have to be on set a few more days, but we see how you look and everything. We think you could be one of the bodyguards. So I was like, yeah, definitely. But basically, the whole process is, you submit your photos and everything. You submit your height, your weight, and the casting directors, they see how you look beforehand, and they see if you're good for a certain role beforehand. But I haven't gotten to the point yet where they ask me, "Hey, you lose a few pounds or gain a few pounds for this role." Basically, I would just again just submit my information. They would pick me from there, and then we go on from there. But yeah, that's basically how.
that's funny. I feel like so many things happen, like you said, where you went in for a different role, and they're like, "Hey, do you want this one instead?" I feel like so many things happen in that way, like you weren't even
Oh yeah,
expecting it to happen.
for
Um,
sure.
were you able to interact with, like, Anthony Mackie or any of the stars, really, or not so much? I know, I
Fun. Yeah.
know we were talking before off camera, and you said they tell you to not talk to them. When they tell you that, is that part of the, all right, here, you're going to be part of this, don't talk to them? Or is it like more sort of subtle than that?
So yeah, it's definitely the former. They tell you, hey, don't talk to them. They're trying to get into the scene and they're trying to get into the roles and everything, which it's understandable.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just all depends on the actor, honestly. And it's funny you mentioned Anthony Mackie because like when I was on the Falcon and Winter Soldier set and, and I was in the club scene, which it hasn't aired yet. At least from my knowledge, it hasn't aired yet. I didn't see the episode that just aired today, but
It'll
yeah, when we're in
probably
that scene,
it'll probably have been aired by the time this podcast gets released, so I think you should be good.
right? All right, cool, cool. So, when we were in the club scene, there was this one part where we were looking at something. It was me and a couple other people. We were like in a group around Anthony Mackie, Bucky, and a couple others. And in between the shot, Anthony Mackie looks over and he says, "Hey, yo, black." And I'm just like, I'm looking around. I'm like, look, I'm the only black guy in here. He must be talking to me. I was like, yeah, what's up? He said, "Hey, you got some boats on." I was just like, man, this man really joking me about my shoes right now? Is this what's going on right now? Like, first of all, these aren't even my shoes. This is what wardrobe gave me. But I was just like, haha, you got jokes. You know, basically where that's pretty much the conversation. I was just like, man, this man really had to point me out in between the scene. It was just like, hey brother, you got some boats on.
Oh, that's too funny, man.
That's cool. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, you have interactions with them, especially if you've been on set a few days. Like I was telling you off camera, coming to America, I was able to interact briefly a few times with Wesley Snipes. A couple times he was like in character still. I still talk to him. That was cool. But then there was one time we were both about to get some food, and that's the other thing about that set. Like there was times where us as the guards, since we were there for a lot of days, we would sometimes eat with the crew and some of the cast. Some of the cast would go online as well. So there was one morning I was getting some breakfast before we went on set, and I see him roll up, and he asked for like an omelet to be made in a certain way and everything. I was able to say, "Hey, how you doing?" And talk for a second. But yeah, and then of course, being on Coming to America, seeing Eddie Murphy and seeing him live. We grew up on Eddie Murphy, so
Hmm.
to see him in person, and then when he comes by, he says what's up. On the inside, you're just like giddy and everything. You're like, ah, it's Eddie Murphy. This is a list actor. This is crazy, but you got to keep it cool because you're there to be a part of the film as well. So I was just like, hey, how you doing? Um, but yeah, it's a crazy experience. That's basically all I gotta say. It's definitely a crazy experience. It's cool when they come up to you, actually speak to you and everything. There's another instance where Salt and Pepper they were on set. They're an iconic female hip hop group. So it was cool that they're on set and everything. And, you know, before the actual film, and of course we did a lot of rehearsals and things of that sort. They were trying to figure out what we were going to do during the scene. So one of the rehearsals, they came over. They were messing with some of us guards and everything. Um, you know, one of them was about to like do a few dance moves on one of the guards, and then Salt, she comes up to me, kind of does like little caress movements in my face. I instantly get like the biggest smile on my face. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like honestly, I'm just like, this is crazy. This is freaking Salt from Salt and Pepper. And then she's just like, hey, you're not supposed to be smiling. Like she does it like in a giggly way. She's like, you're not supposed to be smiling right now.
She got you.
Yeah, yeah. I was just like, yeah, you're right. My fault, my fault. but it's like, how can I not smile? Like, I mean, you're Salt from freaking Salt and Pepper. It's crazy. But yeah, you have those little interactions and everything. It was cool. And you had a couple others interact along the way as well. But yeah, it's definitely cool. It's definitely cool when they want to interact with us who are there, trying to make this movie happen as well. Us background actors. So yeah, that was cool for sure.
That's nuts, man. Yeah, she got you for sure.
Oh
She
yeah,
knew
she got
she
me
knew
for sure.
exactly what she was doing too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's funny. That's too funny.
For sure.
Is everybody on set though for the most part pretty like personable and they're easy going, easy to get along with, all like got the same goal, or do you meet anyone who's kind of like, obviously you don't have to say names, but
Right.
anyone who has more of like that vibe I was talking about earlier, that like has everything just kind of handed to them and they expect people to be like that sort of vibe, or is most everybody kind of down to earth and like an actual person?
Honestly, I've definitely found there was a lot more down to earth people than I probably expected. Honestly, a lot of you're going into Hollywood, you're thinking people will probably be a little bit more stuck up, anything of that sort. But yeah, there was definitely a lot more down to earth people, from some of the co-directors to the wardrobe people, the PAs. Of course, you're gonna have those people who are jerks,
Mm-hmm.
but overall, though, most of the people I ran into were definitely down to earth, definitely cool people. Just it was just a cool vibe. Just most people were just there just to get the work done. As long as you were following directions, people were cool with you. If you weren't following directions, of course, they would get annoyed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they had all they had all right to get annoyed,
Sure.
because you're there for a job. You know, we're not just there to just chill on a film set or anything. So we're there for a job. So we're trying to make a movie or a television show happen. So I understand why they would get annoyed for that. Other than that, most of the time everybody was pretty cool. Um, the PAs definitely were cool. The camera people, the crew, just everybody was pretty down to earth
That's good. It's really good to hear. I think maybe there's definitely some people in Hollywood that that reputation is deserved, but I think
for the most part. Right.
others maybe it's starting to loosen up a little bit. But I mean,
Right.
I
Right.
I wouldn't know. I've not been on set, but um, I did have another question. I was just thinking back to one of the earlier episodes. I had a friend from before. His name was Jeremiah. He's also working to be an actor, but he's going sort of a different route than you. I would say he's going for more of like lead roles in like super small films.
Okay.
Um, and so I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit on the the path to make it, I guess, and sort of why you've chosen the way that you have versus something like getting more like lead roles in smaller films or something like that.
Um. So I just wanted to get my foot into the industry. Just That's basically why I went down to Atlanta. My mom, she was telling me that a lot of these studios and a lot of these productions were moving to Atlanta, and that it would be a great place to start out. So that's why I moved to Atlanta in the first place, just to get my foot into the industry. Um, I'm not opposed to doing any small films or opposed to doing anything of that sort, getting lead roles that way. Excuse me. But I definitely just wanted to go ahead and just get my foot in the industry in some way. Um, and I saw background acting as an opportunity to do that. Of course, while I was on set, I was talking to people, trying to pick their brain, trying to see how I can go to that next level. And that's why I'm moving to LA, actually, because I talked to somebody on set, and they were telling me that, hey, if you really want a featured role, they're still getting the talent from these LA agencies or these New York agencies, like, and it's basically because they have those relationships with those agencies, and they trust those agencies more. Not saying that any agency in Atlanta, none of these productions trust or anything of that sort. I'm not saying that, but they trust the LA talent, they trust the New York talent a little bit more. So that's why I'm just like, okay, if I really want to make it in this industry, I need to make that my next move. To move out there, give myself some good representation, and go on from there. See what I can do, see what auditions I can get, and see where I go on from there. But yeah, just basically I chose the route I chose to just get my foot into the industry.
Gotcha. That makes sense. uh, I want to touch a little bit back on when you told because you're talking about moving to LA, so that's another big step for you, and so obviously your parents would be involved. When you told your parents for the first time that you were like, "Hey, I want to be an actor," um, I know you said they were supportive, but how did that for like if there's somebody listening who maybe is on the fence about making a decision like the one you made, what were your feelings going into that sort of conversation, and how did it sort of play out for you? And do you have any advice for somebody who could be listening that might want to pursue acting or another similar sort of, like, we'll say, non-traditional career?
Yeah. So basically telling my parents, I knew personally that they would be supportive. My dad took him a little bit more time than my mom. My mom, she was all in for the jump because she's the creative in our family for sure. My dad was just like, son, don't you want to do this route or don't you want to do this? But he was definitely supportive. I'm not gonna try to paint a picture like he was never supportive, but he was just like,
Mhm.
son, be sure about this. Just trying to see where my headspace was at
Yeah, he
with
just
the
wants what's
regards.
best for you, and he knows that
Exactly,
the chances of
exactly.
actually making it and something like that are lower than it otherwise would be.
Right, right. But but actually making the move and everything, actually seeing me, the productions I was in, he was just like, yeah, my son, he can do this for sure. That gives you like a special feel. Like it just motivates you even more to want to do more. Um, and then again, just family, friends seeing me in these films and everything, getting the feedback that I've gotten, just motivates you even more. But so some advice for people that want to take this non-traditional route. Um, I just first and foremost want to say definitely make sure you take time and really think over this decision. Make sure that, you know, me personally, I would suggest praying, talking to God about this decision first before you really make this decision. Go to Him first, then talking to like wise people around you about your decision as well. But ultimately, if you're gonna take a non-traditional, risky move, I say go for it. Personally, because you know your purpose in your life is gonna look different than um, you know a regular person's life. It might be harder to do the thing that you want to do, whether you're a musician, an actor. Um, you know, you can even go to sports with this if you're a soccer player, football player, whatever you want to do. It's gonna be tougher. It's gonna be a career path where it's not as safe. You know, you you definitely may not make it, and you got to know that going into it. But definitely don't let that stop you from pursuing what you want to pursue. Just go at it with all your might. And if you know that's your purpose, just keep on at it. It might not happen tomorrow. It might not happen a year from now. It might not happen 5 years from now. But it could happen in year 6. It could happen in year 10. But the main thing I want to pass on is you gotta stay consistent with your work. That's definitely the biggest thing. You have to stay consistent. And when the opportunity comes, you gotta be prepared for the opportunity.
100%, especially for, well, not even especially, but I can relate that to athletics as well. If you're not putting in the hours in the gym and the field consistently, when that phone rings, you're not going to be ready. So
Right, right.
consistency is definitely huge. Um, for anything really, just being consistent with you is like being a consistent human being is a, like, in temperament, right? You don't want somebody to be all over the place. Temperament's hard to
Right.
work with people like that. Just consistency in life in general is a really big thing. Um, I know you'll probably have an answer to this question. The answer will probably be the Coming to America set because you were on it for so long. But
Mhm.
what was your favorite set, and like group of people to work with, and what made it that way for you?
Most definitely coming to America set. Because again, like I said, I was on that set for over half the film. Met some incredible people. Uh, some people who I would consider friends now. It's just incredible just going throughout each and every day. I'm not gonna say every day was perfect.
Hmm.
There's certain things, certain politics that went on that you're just like, ah. But for the most part though, it was incredible, man. It was definitely incredible just going to set each day, whether on my first day on set, we were on location at Rick Ross's mansion.
Holy
So I was
crap.
just yeah, yeah. So just rolling up to the mansion, going to the gate, having the gates open, going that mile all the way up to his house and everything. You're just wow, I'm really at Rick Ross's mansion filming a movie. Um, and it was incredible. The parts of the mansion that we got to see were incredible. We didn't get to see a whole lot because they blocked a lot of it off, of course. But just going into the mansion, doing the scene there, going to the old Tyler Perry studios, where he used to shoot a lot of his old stuff. Then going to the brand new Tyler Perry studios to shoot the rest of it. Just the whole process, it was incredible seeing the stars that came through in the film, the people that had guest appearances. I'm on set one day just chilling, and that's when people were like, "Oh, Morgan Freeman's downstairs." I'm like, "Morgan Freeman," and then you're in the room and you see Morgan Freeman, you're like, "Wow, this is crazy. This is a legend right here."
Does he
Or
have
like,
that presence that like you
yeah,
feel?
oh yeah, definitely,
What is that
definitely
like?
has that presence. You're just like, wow, he just. I don't even know if I could really put it into words, honestly, but it's just like, man, this is incredible. This is a legend standing right in front of me. And this is how it was as well when I first saw Eddie Murphy, when I first saw Wesley Snipes. You're just like, these are guys who have been doing this for years. Like
Mhm.
these are A-listers. These aren't just like, and never to discredit any other actor or anything of that sort. But yeah, these are like guys who we grew up seeing in big films. Eddie Murphy, of course, Daddy Daycare, Doctor Doolittle,
Mhm.
his comedy specials, all of those movies, or Wesley Snipes, just all these guys, or Arsenio Hall, or let me think who else. Just all these guys that you've seen growing up and everything. So it's just incredible seeing them in person. Or like when we're just chilling on set one day, about to do a scene, and all of a sudden I see the Kimmy Matumbo walk by me. I'm just like, first of all, that brother's all of what is he, 6'11" or seven, whatever
Seven,
he
she's
is,
like
7'1",
7 foot, yeah, something like that.
7'1", something like that. He's all of that. Literally all of that. I look up and I'm just like, wow. I don't ever feel short because I'm like basically 6'3". So I never feel short. But looking up at him, I was like, man, like, and I started immediately asking people around me, uh, if you had the ball right now, you were on the court, and you see the Kibi Matumbo down there under the hoop. What is your move? You're coming down the court. You see him under the hoop. What are you gonna do? Are you pulling up? Are
Pulling
you
up
gonna
for
try to
three.
drive? Exactly. That's literally my
100%.
answer. 100%. I'm pulling up for three because I'm not. I don't want. I don't want to have anything to do with Dick What's up with them because I already know he's probably gonna block the shot. Even at
100%.
even at whatever age he is now, he's still gonna pack my stuff. So I'm just like,
Still give you the finger wag too.
exactly. The no, no, no. I mean, you see it in the commercials and everything. But yeah, just seeing him come by, or seeing Rick Ross, seeing Salt and Pepper, like I mentioned earlier, or In Vogue, or just countless others. When you see them, it's just, this is crazy. It's crazy to even be here right now. It's crazy that I'm even experiencing this
Mhm. Well, you got to get used to it at some point if you're going to
Oh
keep
yeah,
doing
for
it, you
sure,
know?
for sure, for sure, for sure. No, no, no. Don't get me wrong. I definitely. It's definitely it's surreal in the moment, but it's also like when you're on the sets for as many days as you are, it's like it does become normal. Not in
Hmm.
a bad way either, but it's
Hmm.
just like it becomes normal. You're just like, oh, who's pulling up to set today? Kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got you. That's wild, man.
Right.
All right, I got like one or two more questions, then we'll get you out of here. You are a
Okay.
Washington football team fan, correct?
I already know.
Give us the rundown for this coming season. Where are they ending up?
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. Depending on how the draft goes, I really see us because of 17 games now. First and foremost, I'm gonna say this: 17 game season. I personally feel for the players. I'm like, I don't like it for the players.
Yeah, me either.
As a fan, of course, I'm like, all right, we get an extra football game, we get an extra regular season game, but I don't personally like it for the players because they're already getting injured at a high rate as they are getting injured.
Yeah. Of course,
So
also the OCD thing, the records are going to look all weird at the end of the season.
most definitely, most definitely, is a 2,000 yard. Of course, a 2,000 yard season is still going to be incredible, but is it going to be as incredible as it was when Derrick Henry just did this season, or Chris
Hmm.
Johnson did it in the past, or OJ Simpson did it in 12 games back in the day?
Yeah,
Which
that's
that's
nuts.
that, right? So yeah, that's it's gonna be an adjustment, but for the Washington football team at this moment, if I were to give us, you know, a record for this upcoming season, how I think we're going to do this season, I'm thinking 10-7 because our defense, honestly, really is a top five defense. It
Oh,
definitely
for
is.
sure.
And then adding William Jackson, like that just takes us to another level. Him being a lockdown corner. If we can just add a linebacker in the draft, which I think we will, maybe another safety. I know Trey Boston is interested in coming. We add those pieces. Our defense is going to be legit. Offense, adding another, just one more piece on offense through the draft. We should be straight there. Adding Curtis Samuels, that was huge. Fitzpatrick, we'll see what Fitzpatrick we get. That's basically all I can say about Fitzpatrick. He's a gunslinger,
Hmm.
for the good and the bad. We'll see what Taylor Heineke can do. I don't know what he'll be able to do, but that game he had against the Buccaneers was incredible. And going back to my ODU days, I mean, I saw Taylor Heineke when he was back at ODU, so I knew what he could do. But just to see him do it at the highest level for my team, I was just like, yeah, this is. I don't think he's going to be the franchise guy, but we'll see what he got this year. He's gonna
Yeah,
get his true chance this year. But at this moment, I'm thinking 10-7, either first or second.
we'll see. I think the
We
rest of the
will.
division's in a little bit of shambles, so
Yeah,
you guys,
yeah.
you guys could squeak in there. Maybe get into the playoffs, make some noise. All right, last question.
Hopefully.
What's the future looking like for you? I know you mentioned you're moving out to LA. So what you got planned for if you were to forecast out the next couple of years? What are you looking at?
All right, next couple of years. So first and foremost, definitely moving out there. Getting good representation, not just for talent. I want a talent agent, which a talent agent, of course, will give you the opportunity to audition for acting jobs. But also, I'm trying to get a modeling agent, and I'm in the process of getting that now. Um, you know, I don't want to reveal too much on that yet,
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
but yeah, I'm in the process of doing that now. So just getting good representation. That's the next move, as well as moving out there to California. And then from there, prayerfully getting some auditions, and again, like I said earlier, the sky's the limit. Um, we'll see how fast things go. You know, definitely moving out to Atlanta, it definitely humbled me and also allowed me to see what to expect. One, moving to a new place, but two, being in this industry. So now I feel a lot wiser, you when I do make this move to California on what to do, instead of just moving out on a whim. Because
Yeah.
I don't think I was as prepared, when I first moved down to Atlanta. I just was just down there like, oh, I'm gonna sign up with this casting company and see what's gonna happen. But this time, I feel like I know a lot more about the industry, and now I feel like I can execute going forward. When I go out to California.
Good, man. Yeah, it's always smart to make sort of the, even if you didn't intend it that way, to make sort of a smaller move before the bigger one, and then you can sort of lay the groundwork for yourself once you get out there, and
Right, right.
hopefully find your feet, and we'll see you in some new stuff coming soon. Well, you heard it here first from RJ. 10-7 record for the Washington football team. I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
It's been almost 2 hours since we started this. So since we started the call, so I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on the show, and look forward to doing it again
Yeah,
for sure.
definitely would love to. We'll when when you get out there, maybe we'll schedule something when you get out there and you get your next sort of gig or job, and then we can talk about that one.
For sure, for sure. Look forward to it.
Sounds good. All right, guys. If you enjoyed it, remember to sub, drop a like, and comment. Bye, everybody.